Hi everybody, Martin at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm back with the next bug in the bass bug series. We're sticking with a spun bug at the moment, right? This is basically a bunny tail slider. There's all sorts of names for patterns like this. Water pups, snakes, various. I'm not too fussed about what you call them, to be honest, and this will be a very simple fly. But so moving on from Tap's bug, we're going to basically have a spun head, but we're also going to fit eyes, right? Sort of building up the complexity of these patterns as we go. So, as always, we'll put a materials list in the description, along with a link to the Patreon page for anyone who wants to support the channel, which will get you entered into the giveaways. Alternatively, you can like the video, share the video, watch it all the way to the end. All of that does help the channel to grow. So I've got my hook and my vise. This is a size 2 Gamakatsu B10S. I've just started some 150 gel spun, and I'm going to tie in my weed guard material, which is £16 hard nylon, and I'm just coming around the bend, much as I did before, making sure that the material stays straight down the back of the shank. Right, I don't want it creeping to one side. I'm going to put a half hitch in, just for security. And then, same as I did with the Tap's bug, I'm going to cement this. Just to make it nice and tough, nice and secure. So I'm going to get a wee bit of bucktail. I've got to use some brown. I'm going to use this instead of using like an extra bit of nylon to support the bunny tail. You don't really need nylon anyway. The weed guard creating the loop helps prevent the rabbit fur wrapping round. It's very difficult for the fur to get into the loop. So tail length, up to yourself really. You can tie these pretty long. Say this is a size 2, say I want the fly to be like 3 hook lengths, 3.5 hook lengths, so I'll make the bucktail slightly shorter. Just come back and secure that in, right? And you can see I've not put a huge amount of pressure on the wraps here, which is allowing that hair to stay relatively nicely together. It's no flaring, and it's taken from the top third of the bucktail and not down at the base. So I'll nip that off close. So unlike the Tap's bug, I'm not putting a big long taper on this, because when you tie in the hide of the rabbit, the bump's unavoidable. So then I'll get the rabbit fur. Up or down, up to you. Because I've got the bucktail underneath, I'll put the hide side down on this one. Just got to cord up my thread a bit so that it stops trying to slip, and then catch it in, make sure it's dead on top, and then come back. Right, and get all that nice and tidied up. Again, half hitch, and I'm going to cement that again. Plenty in. I'm not using super glue, this is just cement. Right, your nail polish. So to sort of even out the transition, I'm going to put a skirt on this as well, right, a hair skirt. So what I'm going to do is like a decent bunch of bucktail, of deer hair. I'm using, again, this is not belly hair, this is flank hair from my whitetails, dyed a nice kind of browny colour, natural brown. But I mean, tie these black, chartreuse, whatever, like. Now, same as before, I'm going to clean this, and as I said, this is a good bit of hair, there's no much cleaning needed, it's not got a lot of underfur, but if you need to clean it more, you need to clean it more. Now I have got here, everybody likes to work in pencils, a pencil and a half, right, probably, right. I'm going to stack it. And this should stack quite easy because there's not much underfur. It did. Now, I don't mind if it gets slightly out of alignment, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my length so that it's kind of creeping back. I'm imagining, I'm looking at this rabbit hair here, right, and I want this to be, when I lie it down, it should be like halfway along. Now it's going to flare, but when you fish it, it will start to kind of flow back. And then just the same, 1, 2, 3, into that third one, and spin it around. And that's going to give me a nice wee collar. Right. Support your hook, tighten it. And that's you, right. Obviously don't over tighten. Now, if you've watched maybe like a Kelly Gallup video, he makes it like a wee, like an elk hair basically, right? He makes this kind of shoulder collar and sets it, and that's fine if you're wanting a sort of loose head, right? Like you would have one like a zoo cougar or something like that. But for this, I don't want a loose head. I want to get absolutely all the hair in that I can, right? As I said before, you'll never ever get as much hair on a spun bug as you'll get on a stacked bug, but you can still get a lot on, right? And this hair's staying. And then it's just going to be a case of like spinning and repeating as we did with the taps bug. Now I took a few wraps and pulled them back because it's the bare shank, and then I'm just going to take a half hitch and lock that in, right? And I can take a couple of wraps forward. In this case, you could leave the shank bare, but like I said before, if you wrap it with thread, right, you're going to end up with overall a more durable fly, right? Because this gives something for any cement and glue and all that to bind to. All you need to worry about is if it's smooth, right? And obviously it's just a couple of layers of thread on a bare shank, so it's going to be smooth. There's not going to be bumps. And now, going forward, all I need to do is get some more of this here, and if you wanted to, you could stripe it, right? You could put a barred zonker strip, and then you could alternate brown and black, or you know, tan and brown, or tan brown black, or whatever, you know, just suit yourself really. So cleaned it, same as before. Don't need the tips, right? I only need the tips here, so I'm just going to take them away. And then I nearly forgot. A wee blob of liquid fusion. This one seems to be clogged in the nozzle, but I've got some here. Slightly thinned, but it's fine. Just put a wee blob there, and again that will give me a nice kind of bonded core to the fly. So offer it in, same as before. 1, 2, into that third turn, and just pull, and just let it go. Support the shank and just pull it. You'll see it will stop turning, and that's it, right? Nice and tight. You can work your thread through, pulling it back. If it wants to keep turning, that's fine. You just, when you're putting the extra thread wraps on, you can actually be applying a wee bit of pressure, and then just get in front. Put my half hitch in to lock it, and then, much as I did before, get a grip of that and push that hair back, right? Pack it on, and you can get your thread wraps in. Just shorten your thread if you really need to and get it right in, right? Some extra thread wraps. I've pushed that back 4mm there nearly. Right, I've really gained a bit of shank. I'm going to do the same thing again. And as I said before, I really like these natural colours. I've got a lot more confidence in them. I mean, it is partly fishing here in Japan where there's a lot of fishing pressure, but depending where I am, if there's a lot of guys, conventional guys, finesse fishing and all that rather than power fishing, I will have a bright fly, but for the most part the naturals seem to do it for me. But again, you might be fishing in very different waters. So again, third turn, pull, just let it go, support the hook, pull it. When it stops moving, I can then work my thread forward, get another wee pull, and just push it back with my hands, get in, 2 or 3 wraps, and now I'm close enough to the front I can get in with the half hitch tool and use it as a pusher. Get that right in and get that knot right into the base there, and then pull back. As I say, it's just getting as much hair as possible. Right, just back that, pack it back, shorten your working thread, a few wraps in to lock it. I'm going to get a nice dense head. Now I'm not going to put a white face in this one. You could put a white face on so you can see, but I might actually. Well, no, I'll stick with my original plan. I'll just go all brown, all natural. You know, you might, like, if you've got a cloudy day or something, you can probably see it fine. You know, you're not fishing in the dark and all that. Again, take the tips away. Wee blob in there. I said with the tapsburg and all that, I'm letting the thread be flat. I don't need it to be corded up. Your GSP is plenty strong enough that you don't need to worry about cording it up. So into my third turn again, slightly tighten, pull, and just let that spin. Right, I'll support my hook. On my way to the front. I'm a wee bit heavy on my side compared to yours, so I'll just give that a wee force. And that's fine. As I get the thread in front. Good half hitch in there. There, I've pushed that back a good bit just with my hands, which will let me get in. There we go, I can get that right back. Shorten everything up. And I have got space for one more small bunch, right? Which is why you need a good packer, right? Like, that looked like it was full, but I've now got a good space there. I mean, just got to do another half hitch and just force that back a wee bit more. I've got to use the knot to help force it back and really lock it. Right, this is just me just really doing everything I can to get as much hair as possible on the bug. Right, more hair, more float. Right, and obviously I don't need as much here. I'm going to get maybe half a pencil. I mean, I'll be lucky if I get all this on, right? You know, if you had a full pencil, it'd be far too much. You wouldn't get it on. The hook eye and all that would fight you. So clean that. Same as before. Cut the tips. Just watch your thread get it. I bring my thread just in front there. And I'm not going to bother with liquid fusion at this stage, because by the time I glue the eyes on and all that and cement the weed guard tie off, that will soak in. Into my third, pull. And that there is probably as much hair as I can possibly go on here while spinning. Which is what we want. Get my thread in front. And we'll just get that seated. Trim it away. Now the trimming, we'll take the tail. Trim this nice and long. I'm just going to use my razor blade. This is an old one in the desk, but it's enough for the bunny for cut it at an angle, cut a wee taper in it. And that gives me a fly slit 3.5, 4 inches long. So I'm not going to trim this one flat because I don't want it to be sitting like a popper. I'm going to trim it round. So we'll get a fresh blade. And as I said before, I don't normally trim them at my desk, but for the video, that's what we're doing. So the only thing you need to really be careful is you don't cut your reskirt. But what I'm going to do is just kind of round the blade and just go back, and I'm going up at an angle. I'm going to do the same here, but obviously I'm going to I don't want to obscure my hook gate. Although I'm keeping it round, I'm going to start right in close to the hook eye and just work my way back a wee bit. Something like this. Going to come in from the side, let it match up. And the shape you go for, once you've got your kind of rough shape, you can come in. All you need to do is make sure it's even. What's this one? Is it? This one. Right, and then just carefully come back. Now, I can see there's slight differences in the colour, so I know that I can keep going here before it becomes an issue. Right, but you just need to be careful. Now, at this stage, you can be brave and go back with the razor, but I would rather live to fight another day. So I'm going to take, the butt ends are much longer than the tips, so I can just pull them forward and slide my scissor down and trim. Same again, and I'm just going to turn the bug, right? Come right in at the tips, slide it down and trim. Slide down and trim. Right, just blow them out the way if they're. Same, come in, slide it down. Just take your time. And at this stage the head's got to be too big, right? But that's okay. You can always trim more off, but you can't put it back. So I'm just going to come in. And my scissors, and I'm just making sure I don't want to catch the tips. You just need to take your time. Now, at this stage, it looks a bit rough, right, because I've not got in, but I can actually you can just grab these long tips if they're in amongst the long butts if they're in amongst the tip hairs. Right. What I'm going to do, sweep them back, grab my blade. I'm using the rounded blade, right? I'm keeping the curve the same. I just want to see the shape I get. Now, I don't know how well we can see there, but I notice I've got a couple of trapped hairs. I can just come in with my bodkin, dubbing needle, just free them. And then I need to obviously sort out the hook gap here. So keep it round. I'm going to come in, pushing back. Again, you're just trying to keep everything nice and smooth. And know disturb your collar, your skirt too much. You can see I've actually, on the underside, I've gone a wee bit further back, but that's nice the way it's kind of blends in. I'm just going to come and very carefully remove any cut or butt ends or whatever. It's not bad. And the round head, right, it doesn't really bloop the same as a popper. It's much more subtle. You can wake it and sort of skate it. It's great coming in between lily pads and all that. And what you might be able to see is I'm changing the curve of the blade when I'm trimming, just to try to get the shape I want. And this is pretty tight for a spun bug, which is what I like. You know, a nice tight bug. The tighter it is, the longer it will float. And what I'm looking for is like this, right? I want a nice round head with the hook eye in the middle. I certainly don't want one side wider than the other, right? So when I look down at it, or I look down from above, I can see this one's got a bit too much hair on this side. Because that would affect the swim. Right, it would pull to one side. So once I've got the shape or the size, I can then just come in and just smooth that curve again. And really, I mean, you can trim these all day if you wanted to, right? But this isn't bad. It's not bad at all. And what often will happen as well, see, I'll once this is, all the glue and everything's time to set, I'll give this a coat of watershed, right? Or if I've not got any watershed handy, what I use is jacket waterproofer, right? The spray for waterproofing jackets. And then you might find like a few hairs will stand up and things like that. You can fix it or you can leave it, honestly it doesn't really matter. So I'm ready to fix the eyes, or fit the eyes. So I need my cautery tool. And I'm just going to come in no heating up. I think I need to change my batteries, so I'll just pause the video and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, fresh set of batteries, and I'm ready to burn my eye sockets. So the eye sockets, well, first of all, you need to decide the size of the eye. I'm going to put probably a 6mm, quite a big eye. It'll look good. It'll look good on this, I think. This is just the plastic. It's the plastic doll eyes, or teddy bear eyes with the stems. So if my eye's going to be 6mm, I want the hole to be at least 6mm. So I'll just heat this up, and I'm just going to come in basically in the middle of the head. Right, and now when you're doing this on a spun head, even, I mean, this is a tightly spun head, it's not as tight as I would get in a packed bug, and I always find that it doesn't want to burn just as cleanly. Now I'm just going to clean this as I go so I don't forget. Right, just clean out all that burnt hair. Right, if you don't clean the burnt hair, your eye's going to fall off, right? It won't stick. Or it'll stick initially, but it will not stay stuck. It'll come off. Right, I'm just going to widen that a wee bit. And you just get in with your dubbing needle and just scrape away the burnt stuff. And I'll come over to the other side. Just checking where it is. So I'm slightly, the centre of the eye slightly above the shank, right in the middle. And this stinks, by the way, but there's no getting around it. There's nothing you can do about the smell. Not even. Again, come in. I think the batteries that although it's a new battery out of the pack, I don't think it's the freshest, but it's enough. I'm getting away with it. So when you're happy with your socket, which looks like that, right, I went a decent depth, and you maybe can see that I've kind of disturbed the burning, or it's slightly disturbed the shape of the head, but it's still fine. It's perfectly fishable, and I would say that trade-off's worth it, right? Because the increase in the durability that I'm going to get in the eyes, I mean, the fish don't really care, but like it, we like it, you know, it looks good. It gives you a bit of confidence when you're fishing, and that does matter. So I'm going to cut the stem, but I'm going to leave 2 or 3 mil, right? That just gives the glue, the goop, a wee bit extra to grip onto. So get them, and then, as I said before in the first video about the tools and all that, this is the stuff you need: marine goop, or you could use E6000. Loctite Super Clear's no bad. So I'm going to get a blob. And did I clean that? Aye. Get another wee clean just in case. It looks no bad, but there's maybe a wee bit of burnt hair there. Got to get quite a big blob, and I'm just going to roll it in. Right, just get it, pick it up in your bodkin and roll the blob. Right, you just twist your needle, and the blob will stay on the hair rather than on your needle. Now, I'm not a great believer in trying to be super tidy with the glue. I'd rather have a wee bit more glue, and if some peeks out round the edge of the eye, that's okay in my book. I'm just going to force that in. Wet your finger. You can wet your finger and just sort of push that other bit of any bit of excess glue. You can just sort of force it into the glue around the socket, into the hair around the socket. And it'll kind of shrink in anyway as you dry it, or as it dries. And same on this side, just get that, aye, push it in. I've been slightly heavy handed with my glue there, but it's no bad. Now obviously, you want to make sure that your eyes are level. And you can just wet your finger and smooth that glue, right? The goop will no stick to a moist finger. Squeeze it, get the eyes where you want, front and back. Check them from behind as well. Sometimes they look alright for the front and you turn them round and they don't. But that looks pretty good. And you can see the eye really sort of sets the pattern off, right? Kind of brings it to life. Bit of plastic. Doesn't even need to be that big. Just push that in. And then I'll feed my guard through here now. I just want to check, because I'm using slightly heavier with a £20, I just want to sort of put a wee kink in it, and I'll flatten that with my pliers. And then I think because we're going with the dart fly, I'll use just some black thread here. This is just Danville's 210. But anything will do for tying off these your weed guards, right? It's no really under any pressure as long as you can get it in. So same as before, I don't want any more than 3mm of clearance. I want that quite close. Make sure you've shut your vise properly. Get that in. I always like to fold it back, tie it off, put a hatch on there. That will just hold it. Come in, clip that nylon, good. Trim away the thread, and then same as before, just snip that, tear it away. Now I'm just going to, I've got a wee bar in the nylon which you sometimes get. Just use that, take it back, poke it in the eye, make sure you're nice and clear, and that's you. Now what I would do is I'll wait, I'll allow the eyes to set up. And then I might need to come in with my razor or whatever, or a very fine pair of scissors, and just sort of tidy things up. But that's basically it, right? This is an excellent little surface slider, a bit bigger in the head than likes of a grinnell fly, right? But very good, subtle, when you don't want flat cam day, you don't want a popper, you don't want any bubbles, just have this slithering in between some weeds and just wait for the blow up. So I hope that was useful, I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully this has showed you how to add an extra thing to the tie-in, and we'll see you for another one. Tight lines guys, bye.